Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Pretenders or Contenders podcast coaches show. I'm your host, Coach Devon Powell, here at Football Coach Law High School. I'm coming back with you today. My co-host, Midnight Rider, he may pop in today, but he's busy at work this evening. So I'm in the saddle today by myself, unless he has some free time to pop in. So appreciate y'all jumping in with me tonight, and on this nice Monday night. And looking forward to another great show as always, man. A lot to recap from the football world in PG County in the state of Maryland this week, man. And we've reached the midpoint of the football season, really. In the state of Maryland, in the MPSSAA, we played 9 regular season games, and then ever since COVID, the 10th game is the first week of the playoffs. Everybody makes playoffs, so we're going to go through some of the different classes and divisions today. Go over some standings. We're going to talk about the results from over the weekend, and just talk a little football today, a little PG County football. So, I'm just sit back and listen to the ride, man. Always send comments in the comment. We'll try and questions. We'll try to address as many as possible. We do have a guest tonight joining us. So when they get in here, we'll bring them in. And like I said, we're just going to talk. We're just going straight football talk today. We're talking PG County football, man. And, as I always start the show out, my co-host, Midnight Rider, always likes to get a recap from my game at Law this past weekend. And, it wasn't a good game at all. We lost to the Suitland Rams on Friday night at the 300, 45-0. As bad as the score may seem, man, it really wasn't that bad of a game, especially early on. Things got away in the second half. We started out the game pretty decent. We was moving the ball a little bit. We was able to get into the red zone twice early in the game and couldn't come up with points. We had a field goal that was blocked. Then we had a loss of downs inside the 10. And then, from there, we just couldn't get on track. Offensively, we couldn't move. We didn't move the ball as well as we liked to. What was it? 16-0 right before the half, and we threw a bad pick that turned into a pick six as they ran back. So we go into halftime down 23-0. And then, we was in a hole, man, and we just couldn't get out of there. Defensive wise, like I said at the beginning of the game, we were playing good. We came out playing sharp, but we caught an interception, recovered a fumble, forced 2 turnovers early, but we just couldn't get out our own way Friday night. There's a few questionable calls. And anybody's ever come to a Law game at the 300 or anywhere, I know I'm gonna argue with the referees as much as possible. That's my excitement. I get out of the game, just giving them guys hell. But they was pretty bad on Friday night. It was 2 weeks in a row where I'm not blaming the loss on the referees, but the referees dictate the flow of the game, man. And like I said, the week before against Northwestern, although we won that game, we had 19 penalties. And that game was over 2.5 hours long. Just completely destroyed the flow of the game. Again on past Friday night, I can't remember the amount of penalties that we had, but it was just one of those games where it was costly things that occurred during the game and some mistakes on the referees that just disrupt the whole game, man. And it's something we just got to deal with as a coach. You never put the loss on the referees. We damn sure had a lot of things that we should have done better. We didn't play as good as we wanted to, and we should have. And that was the result, man. We lost 45-0. As my colleagues on in Facebook group we got, the DMV coaches, football coaches page, man, we got monkey stomped. It is what it is, man. We can't change it. All we can do is get back. We're back in the lab. We was back in the lab Saturday morning, man. After that game, we had to have an 8 a.m. practice. So we were back in the lab, and just trying to fix things and get right, man. So we got Potomac coming up this week. Potomac Wolverines, Coach Ronnie Crump, who we had on here a few weeks ago. Him and his mob is coming up to the 300 on Friday night. And, right now they're riding high right now. They had a big win against Oxon Hill on Saturday in that Community Bowl, that rivalry game down there between Potomac and Oxon Hill. They came up with a big win, and I think it was in overtime. So they're coming in 4-0, man, and they're playing good ball right now. So, they're going to come up to the 300, up to the light show, man. And we got our work cut out for us, man. It's going to be a good game. They're going to play hard. They're going to play physical. They're going to play fast, and they're going to be ready to go. And, we looking forward to the challenge. We're ready for it. I don't shy away from anybody. I don't back down from anybody, and we going to come out here, and we're going to get ready for Friday night. So, it's one of those things where you look back at a game, and I think I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning, Friday night into Saturday morning, just reviewing the film from the Suitland game. And, with so many missed opportunities, so many things as a coach, you just don't understand, how we make the mistakes that we do when the kids are prepared so well. But as a head coach, man, I got to take it on the chin and get back to the drawing board. I got to do better for my kids and my players and the coaches, man. And we just regroup, man, because that's one thing that I don't do. I don't quit, and I don't cry over spilled milk. So let's get back to it on Friday night. We had a good practice today, and just coming off the practice field myself, good practice today. And we just, each day, we just gonna get better and better each day. So that was the recap of my game, man. And it was a lot of good football games going on. I'm gonna run through some of the scores. Like I said today, we covering everybody, man. It's the mid-season review, so we're gonna talk about everybody, man. So I'm gonna start in scores. We're gonna start in the 4A, out in the 4A West. Those of y'all that don't know, each class is broken up into 4 regions. Everybody makes playoffs. Then out of those regions, like I said, to get to the quarterfinals, you got to win 2 games, depending on the amount of teams in your bracket. And quarterfinals is the final 8 of the region. So we're going to start out here in the 4A West. We had Clarksburg taking on Richard Montgomery. Clarksburg won that game 39-33. Gaithersburg defeated Watkins Mill 24-7. Northwest and Paint Branch linked up, and Paint Branch won that game 27-7. Paint Branch is off to a good start this year. Quince Orchard took on Seneca Valley, and QO does what QO does, and they beat them 49-0. We got Walter Johnson took on Wooten. Walter Johnson came out with the W on that one, 27-20. Then Winston Churchill and Walt Whitman played, and Churchill beat them 35-0. So that's the 4A West right now. Then we go to the 4A South. Let's see, Parkdale defeated Bladensburg 56-6. Flowers defeated Duval 35-13. Like we said, Suitland beat us this week 45-0. Henry Wise defeated Bowie 50-0. And Eleanor Roosevelt defeated Northwestern 61-0. So that's your 4A South schools there. Then we go to the 4A North. We had Bethesda Chevy Chase defeated Wheaton 43-0. That's a big win for BCC. Wheaton was undefeated going into that game. Blake High School lost to Sherwood 21-12. Not sure. I didn't see what happened during that game. But that was Blake's. I think that was Blake's first loss of the season. You know, Coach Vic, if you're listening in, chime in. Let us know what happened during that game. Like I said, we lost to Suitland 45-0. Montgomery Blair got their first win of the season. They defeated Einstein 42-0. They said Northwestern lost to Roosevelt 61-0. And we already covered Paint Branch and Wheaton. So that's your 4A North. So then we go into the 4A East. We had Annapolis High School take on Broadneck, and Broadneck won that game 35-0. Again, Bowie lost to Wise 50-0. Dundalk took on Kenwood and defeated them 26-0. Glen Burnie kept their hot streak going. They defeated North County 49-7. And then my guy Tenardo over at Meade High School, they lost to Crofton 34-28. So that's your 4A scores from this past week. And we're going to the standings of the 4A right now. Look at your 4A West. Quince Orchard and Winston Churchill are both 4-0, sitting 4-0 right now. Then you got a log jam in the middle where we got Seneca Valley, Clarksburg, Richard Montgomery, Walter Johnson, and Gaithersburg all sitting at 2-2. They're all tied for that third spot right now. And Northwest, and a surprise this year in Northwest, I know they had a coaching change before the season, but they're sitting at 1-3 at the bottom of the 4A West right now. And we go to the 4A South. You got Charles Flowers High School, my guy Damon Powell over there. They're 4-0 right now. Eleanor Roosevelt is sitting at 3-1. Suitland is at 2-1 right now because their first game was did not get played against Bell. It was canceled. Wise is sitting in fourth place right now at 2-2. And you have Duval and Parkdale both tied at 1-3. And Bladensburg sitting at 0-4 right now. So that's your 4A South. And we'll keep rolling into the 4A North. Blake High School coming off their loss this week to Sherwood. They're still 3-1, along with Paint Branch and Wheaton. So all three of those are tied for first in the 4A North. And you got Bethesda Chevy Chase and Law, my squad, tied at 2-2 right now. They're both tied for that fourth spot. Then we got Montgomery Blair that's 1-3, and Northwestern from out of Hyattsville is 0-4 right now. So we look at the 4A East. The 4A East, Glen Burnie right now, like I said, they've been on the roll this year so far. They're 4-0. Dundalk sitting in second place right now at 2-2. And then we got another log jam. 4 teams at 1-3. We got Broadneck, Bowie, Meade, Annapolis, all 1-3 right now, tied for third place. And then we got North County at the bottom of that 4A East at 0-4 right now. So that's a recap of your 4A state standings right now. Like I said, we're just in the midway point, so everybody still has 5 weeks left of a regular season. So a lot of football left to be played, but it's been some great football so far. Great football so far. We got a couple comments here. Let's see. The boss BJ saying, Coach, what's going on, BJ? What's happening? Boss came out to the 300 on Friday night, man. Him and Midnight Rider. And although we ain't give them nothing good to watch on the football field, they at least enjoy the concession stand. So we take a W whenever we can get a W. Coach Marcus, my guy, a lot of good football game. You're right. It was a lot of good football games this past weekend on both levels, the varsity and the JV level. So I ain't plugging nobody because I ain't getting no sponsorship money, but if you can't get out to see some of these games, man, get go to NFHS and sign up for a subscription, man. You can watch any game in the state of Maryland that has the cameras in place, and most of the schools have them in place. So, like I said, I ain't plugging them because they ain't giving me no paycheck, but check them out when you can. And who we got? We got my guy Anthony down there in Florida. What's going on, Anthony? Thanks for tuning in as always. The boss BJ said, and we'll be there this Friday. So, we're gonna give you a better showing this week, boss. So I appreciate you coming on out, supporting, and don't let me forget, man. I got your package too. Coach Jerome says, "What's your thoughts on that Potomac touchdown in overtime?" Well, we'll discuss that when we get down into the 4A, 3A conversation when we talk about that game. But there was some controversy at the end of Potomac and Oxon Hill in overtime. So like I said, we'll touch on that in a little bit. All right, we're moving on. We just recapped the 4A. So now we're going to go into 4A, 3A division. 4A, 3A division started about 2 years ago. When they split up some regions, they realigned things. I think this was after COVID. So we'll go ahead and get in that. We'll get into the 4A, 3A West. All right, these are most of your Montgomery County schools here. So we had Magruder defeat Rockville 12-6. Frederick defeated Middletown 17-14. Middletown was off to a great start, so that's a good win for Frederick. Thomas Johnson lost to South Hagerstown 34-17. Marriott's Ridge from Howard County lost to Glen Elg 42-14. Thomas Wooten, as we discussed earlier, lost to Walter Johnson 27-20. Tuscarora from up there at Frederick County, they defeated Francis Scott Key 38-32. And Urbana played South River and lost to South River this week 19-14. So that's your 4A, 3A West scores from this past weekend. Now we're going to the 4A, 3A South. Albert Einstein, which we discussed earlier, lost to Montgomery Blair 42-0. Kennedy High School defeated Springbrook 53-13. Oxon Hill lost to Potomac 32-26 in overtime. And I'll discuss that ending in a second. Sherwood again defeated James Blake 21-12. And Whitman lost to Churchill 35-0. So as it was brought up by Coach Jerome in the comments earlier, before I move on, that's your 4A, 3A South. Before I move on to the North, Oxon Hill and Potomac in their community bowl game battled down to the wire this past Saturday. Great game, back and forth, a lot of energy, a lot of big plays. So in overtime, there was a play where Potomac threw a pass into the back of the end zone. The player caught the ball. Video evidence show you clearly that he came down out of bounds, but the referees called it a touchdown. Of course, in high school football, there is no review. There ain't no going back looking at the film and overturning no call, but they called it a touchdown. And I'm not taking anything away from Potomac, because Potomac is a great team. Not taking anything from Oxon Hill. Oxon Hill is a great team. But this goes back to not a rant that I had at the beginning of the show about the referees. The refereeing has been very suspect this year, across the board. And, I'm going to try to get a referee on the show one day, because there's a lot of things where our refs are not aligned with each other. the different crews are not on the same page as all the other referees. So each week, coaches, we're going into a game and the rules are different. Now we know everybody has an emphasis that they like to pay attention to, but it's just been crazy this year. And I can tell you right now, if I was coaching that game Saturday at Oxon Hill, and if I was Coach Jeffries, that probably would have been my last day coaching. Uh, I think I would have fought somebody that day because that was just a horrible call right there, man. And it takes away from the kids. It takes away from a good game. Like I said, nothing against Potomac. Hey, Potomac's a good team. I ain't nothing against them. I ain't mad at them. I wish them all the best, except for this week when we play them. But if I was Coach Jeffries, I might have put my paws on somebody that game because the kid was clearly out of bounds. If you get a chance, like I said, it's all on Instagram. It's everywhere. I don't have the video to share with you guys, but it was just it was terrible, man. It was terrible. So Jerome, that's my take on that. Couple comments on that. The boss said that was a horrible call. Yeah, I mean, video evidence, it shows it all, but you can't overturn it. My guy, Coach Moot, refs have been terrible this year everywhere, and yeah, he ain't lying. I had to control him this week because he's ready to get thrown out the game. So I was like, can't have two of us being thrown out the game. Boss said, peace, chill. Hey man, look, I ain't gonna lie. BJ, man, I would have had to lose my job on that one. The boss also said we need an escort for you on the sideline. Man, my coaches be trying. They be trying to control me. But I don't think anybody can control me but God. So they try, but it ain't gonna work. Another question in here, the comments. Okay, other question. Do you feel like it should be a crew assigned and kept together all season instead of just random people coming together? Yeah. I think crews should be assigned together. Just like playing the sport, your cohesiveness comes better once you've been together for more. And I don't know how they schedule the referees or what they got going on at the ref office, but it'd be a lot better if these crews was working with each other each week. Because then at least they would get used to each other and understand what one sees. Because there's stuff where I've had conversations on the field with some refs during the games after some questionable calls, and the other ref was like, I don't know what that referee was seeing. That was a bad call, or he just blatantly blew that one. Like these are coming from their coworkers, their counterparts. So it'd be nice if they was all on the same page, man. And the beginning of the season, we have a coaches meeting in the county, and we have the head of officials comes down there and he goes through the rules and we ask questions, and he tell us how his referees are going to be. And I swear to goodness, every year the referees are the complete opposite of what he say they're going to be. And it seems like, if I got any referees out there, man, you want to chime in. I ain't talking about all of you because we do got some that are good. But some of these guys out there this year don't know what in the hell they're doing, and it's really taken away from the game. Example, we had one referee this week on our sideline. Referee throws a flag for an excessive celebration, right, on Suitland. Guy get up, made a play. Guy gets up, does a dance. Referee throws a flag. The same damn referee goes and picks up the flag. So I said, okay, why are we picking up the flag? Then he says, oh, I don't think it was excessive enough to throw the flag. So what the hell you throw the flag for in the first place then? It's not like another referee came from across the field and was like, nah, that wasn't that bad. No, he threw the flag, picked up his own flag, and then said he didn't think that was excessive enough. So I don't know what world that makes sense at, but I'll leave that alone. Let's see. Coach Mook said, "I'll tell you one thing, I ain't never seen a ref run out of stadium as fast as the one on our sideline did Friday." Yeah, he got up out of there. And the sad thing is he's been terrible for years. So if you listening, you've been terrible for years. I ain't even gonna hide that one. Let's see. Coach Marcus said, "I get fired every time I do, boss." I love my coaches, but you know, they can tell me to get back 100 times and I ain't gonna listen. So nothing against them. That's just me. Been like that for 26 years. It'll be all right. And then my Coach Dre says the refs be emotional. Yeah, they take things personal. They get in their feelings, but I don't care. I'm still gonna say what I got to say. And my guy from MFE All Sports Network, why y'all keep getting the same ref? That's a good damn question, my guy. I don't know. My brother said it the other day. Do the referees got something personal against law? I don't know. And then my coaches, did y'all sleep with a ref's wife or something? Let me know so I can understand why we keep getting treated like we do. It's a good daggone question. All right, man, y'all stop asking me these questions about the referees because y'all gonna get me pissed off again. So I'm gonna go continue with my scores. All right, continue to the 4A, 3A North. All right, a lot of Baltimore schools involved in this. Got Digital Harbor defeated Benjamin Franklin 42-0. Delaney defeated Overlay 27-20. Kenwood lost. Oh, we did that. Kenwood lost. No, I think. Okay, Delaney. That's right. My fault. Kenwood lost to Dundalk 26-0. Mervo and Patterson. I don't see a score reported for that one. Maybe they'll come in later. Parkville lost to Perry Hall 29-20. And Woodlawn lost to Franklin 21-0. That's the 4A, 3A North there. So we'll move on to the 4A, 3A East. A lot of Anne Arundel County schools in this division. Arundel lost to Old Mill 42-9. Arundel had a great season last year, so that's a big loss for them. As spoken earlier, Crofton defeated Meade 34-28. Great Mills lost to Calvert 26-16. Leonardtown defeated McDonough 14-6. North Point defeated Lackey 49-12. Severn Run lost to Severna Park 39-0. That's your 4A, 3A East. Now we'll discuss the standings in the 4A, 3A. So after 4 weeks, 4A, 3A West, Frederick is now 2-2. Well, we got a log jam at the top. Frederick, Urbana, Marys Ridge, and Tuscarora are all 2-2 right now. And then South Hagerstown, Magruder, Wooten, and Thomas Johnson all 1-3. So that 4A, 3A West is pretty tight right now, still up for grabs. 4A, 3A South, Sherwood and Potomac are 4-0. Oxon Hills 3-1. Again, after that controversial loss to Potomac. Walt Whitman and Kennedy is both 2-2. Albert Einstein is 1-3. And Port Springbrook is sitting at 0-4 right now. 4A, 3A North, Delaney and Mervo is 3-1. Parkville is 2-2, along with Digital Harbor. Prairie Hall, Kenwood, and Woodlawn are all 1-3 at the bottom of that region there. Then the 4A, 3A East, Old Mill is 4-0, along with North Point. That would be a good matchup too, Old Mill and North Point. Arundel is 3-1 after they lost to Old Mill. Severna Park, Great Mills, Crofton, and Leonardtown all tied at 2-2. And my guy TJ, Severn Run is 1-3. Shout out to TJ and them for getting their first win in school history a couple of weeks ago. But they're sitting at the bottom right now. So that's your 4A, 3A standings. All right. See anything in the comments? Nothing in the comments. All right, so we're going to move on to the 3A division. All right. And before that, I did see one up here that I missed a comment. Hold on, let me go back. This came from Coach Marcus. How do you feel about the 6 state championships for football in Maryland? I like it. I don't have no problem with it. You know, a lot of the big states got, you know, a lot of classifications. You know, look at Texas and Florida, Georgia. So you know, we are a big state for football. We have a lot of schools. Our classifications are determined by student population, so it has nothing to do with how good you are, how bad you are. It's all on student population. So um, I have no issue with it. I think, I mean, to be honest, you know, we could get up to 8 regions soon, as we continue to develop neighborhoods and we keep adding schools. We could grow and get up to 8 regions. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in the next 5 to 6 years, to be honest. All right. Get off of this. Let me get back to my up there. All right, so going to the 3A results from this weekend. You guys bear with me because I'm reading all of this because I ain't got this memorized. So y'all just bear with me. 3A West. Damascus lost to Oakdale 43-0. Ligonor defeated Walkersville 35-0. North Hagerstown played Central Woodstock from out of Virginia, defeated them 18-7. Northwood lost to Pikesville 22-14. Rockville lost to Magruder 12-6. And Watkins Mills lost to Gaithersburg 24-7. So that's your 3A West results from this weekend. And now we're moving to the 3A South. Chesapeake from Anne Arundel County defeated Patterson Mill 20-14. I always say the school name, Chopticon, whatever the hell it is, lost to Huntington 42-0. Guilford Park defeated Reservoir 42-37. Sound like a barn burner there. James M. Bennett lost to Kent Island 20-6. South River defeated Urbana 19-14. St. Charles defeated La Plata 44-0. My guy Danny and Coach Mark struggling down there. Stephen Decatur defeated Queens Anne's 37-30. That's your 3A South. Moving into your 3A North now. Atherton defeated Mount Hebron 47-3. Catonsville lost to Milford Mills 62-0. Centennial lost to Poolsville 21-8. Franklin defeated Woodlawn 21-0. Milford Mill defeated Catonsville 62-0. I just said that up there, my fault. Newtown defeated Owings Mills 32-7. And Westminster defeated Liberty 19-13. Westminster's up there near my job, right around down the street from my job, and their field was deemed unplayable before the season started, so they had to move all their games because they ain't got no lights now. There's something with the lights up there. Them and I think Liberty High School as well. All right, moving on to the 3A East. Aberdeen lost to Falston 57-50. Baltimore City College lost to Forest Park 32-22. Poly lost to Dunbar 50-6. Edgewood defeated Perryville 19-13. Overlay lost to Delaney 27-20. Tapsco, Coach Marcus's boys, defeated Eastern 28-24. Patterson lost to Mervo 44-0. And Towson defeated Chesapeake from out of Baltimore 34-14. So that's your 3A scores from last week. And if we go into the standings for the 3A, 3A West, we got Liganor and North Hagerstown, both at 4-0. Damascus and Oakdale tied for third at 3-1. And then Northwood, Rockville, and Watkins Mill all sitting at 1-3. 3A South, we got South River, Guilford Park, and Chesapeake from Anne Arundel County, as well as St. Charles, all sitting at 4-0. That's 4 teams at the top of that division right now. That's a close battle. Stephen Decatur, defending state champions at 2-1 right now. Reservoir at 2-2. Chaptacon at 1-3, and Bennett at 1-3. Go to your 3A North. Franklin is at 4-0 right now, and Milford Mill is at 3-0. Westminster, Newtown, and Atherton all tied at 3-1. And then Catonsville and Centennial at 0-4. Go to the 3A East. Edgewood is 4-0 right now. Poly sitting at 2-1. Towson at 3-1. Patapsco 2-2, along with City College, Aberdeen, and Overlay, all 2-2 right now. And Patterson's at 0-4. So that's your 3A standings right now. Recap there. So a couple of more comments in here. Coach Jaden, 3A, 4A East is a region of death. Yeah, you're right about that. That's going to be a battle there. Coach Mook, if you could change anything about the playoff system or alignments, what would those changes be? Excuse my dog. If I could change anything, we go back to the old system, man. I not mad at the reason why they decided to open the playoffs up to everybody in. But as we've seen since they've done that, is that first week of playoffs are usually blowouts across the board. Very rare that you see some competitive games, and I'm not that trophy kind of coach. I'm not a trophy guy. I don't believe in more victories and nothing like that. And everybody making to the playoffs. You got to earn the playoffs. That's how I feel about it. And in a few years, my teams would have been on the outside looking in, but you got to earn your way. You got to play your way into the playoffs. So I think they should go back to the old system, and go from there. Like I said, the playoffs, the way the new system is now, the playoffs really don't start until the third week when you get into quarterfinals. So it's nothing against everybody getting in there and getting that opportunity to say they played in a playoff game, but playoffs, you got to earn it, man. To be the best, you got to be the best. And just to get a playoff game and just to say you're in playoffs, I don't like it. It is what it is. It's the world we in right now, but I wish they would go back to, taking the, however you want to do it, the top 4 in the regions, in each region, top 2 in each region. I don't care, but you got to earn your way into the playoffs. That's how I see it. Another comment, Coach Jaden, 0-10 teams rolling up to the playoffs. Yeah, well, they'd be 0-9, but I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And then, a lot of those teams, as my guy, Captain Ron would say, they get in the first round and get monkey stomped. So, I just don't like it. Another comment, Coach Mook said, them last 2 weeks when you were fighting for a spot, seeding brought out the competition in teams, in my opinion. You're right. You got down to the end of the season, man. You had to be playing your best ball to make it into the playoffs. And you got teams that just making it through the season, man, and they get to play a playoff game for what? Like it demoralizes the kids more than anything. I don't want to get in the playoffs and lose 62-0. Like if I ain't earned it, I don't need to be there. So that's how I feel about that. All right, so we're gonna continue our recap. Going into the 2A West right now. 1 second. Gotta get back to my scores. All right, in the 2A West, Glenelg defeated Murray's Ridge 42-14. Howard defeated Hammond High School 41-0. Long Reach lost to River Hill 34-14. Mount Hebron lost to Atherton 47-3. Oakland Mills defeated Wild Lake 50-11. Poolesville defeated Centennial 21-8. That's your 2A West scores from this past weekend. Moving to the 2A South. Here, okay. Huntington defeated Chopticon 42-0. We talked about La Plata losing to St. Charles 44-0. McDonough lost to Leonardtown 14-6. Northeast and Anne Arundel County lost to Williamsport 12-6. Northern down in I think that's Calvert County lost to Patuxent 34-31. Thomas Stone lost to Westlake 47-7. That's your 2A South. We're going to the 2A North from this weekend. Bel Air lost to the Joppatown 20-14. Milton Wright defeated Havre de Grace 23-14. Carver defeated Lake Clifton 27-8. Easton lost to Patapsco, which we already said, 28-24. Lansdowne defeated Western 32-28. Manchester Valley defeated Winters Mills 16-6. That's the 2A North. And we go down to the 2A East where we got, some more PG County schools. We got Douglas defeated Crossland 30-0. Fairmont Heights defeated Friendly 28-12. Gwynn Park defeated Largo 33-28, which I heard was a great game down there in Gwynn Park. North Carolina lost to Easton 49-7. Parkside lost to Colonial Richardson 40-29. And Wacomico defeated Cambridge South Dorchester 49-29. That's your 2A East scores from the weekend. We're going to the standings. All right, your 2A West, Howard, Oakland Mills, and Glenelg all tied at 4-0 right now. Long Reach is 3-1. River Hill, Mount Hebron, and Poolesville is 1-3. And Wild Lake is at 0-4. Going to the 2A South, Westlake is 3-1, along with Huntington. Northeast from Anne Arundel County and Northern are tied at 2-2. Thomas Stone is sitting at 1-3. And La Plata and McDonough are both at the bottom at 0-4 right now. 2A North, Milton Wright and Winters Mill is 3-1. Manchester Valley sitting at 2-2. Then we got Eastern, Carver, and Lansdowne all tied at 1-3. And Bel Air and North Hartford both 0-4. 2A East, we got Wacomico, that's 4-0. Gwynn Park and Douglas are both 3-1 right now. Parkside and Fairmont Heights is 2-2. Largo and Crossland at 1-3. And North Carolina is 0-4. So that's your 2A East. Now we're going to move over to the 2A 1A. And say we're almost done with all these divisions. We're almost there. All right, in the 2A 1A West, Century defeated South Curl 16-13. Middletown lost to Frederick 17-14. Owings Mills lost to Newtown 32-7. Randallstown lost to Hereford 15-12. South Curl, and we always said that, South Curl lost to Century 16-13. Walkersville defeated Ligonor 35-0. And Williamsport defeated Northeast in Anne Arundel County 12-6. Your 2A1A South, Central defeated Surrattsville 28-12. Central still having a strong start to their season. Chesapeake from Baltimore lost to Towson 34-14. Edmondson lost to Lewis Edmondson beat Lewis 22-0. Forest Park defeated City 32-22. Dunbar beat Poly 50-6. Sparrows Point defeated Lock Raven 18-12. And now we move on to your 2A1A North. Elkton defeated Rising Sun 42-7. Boston defeated Aberdeen 57-50. The schools is putting up some points. Hartford Tech defeated North Hartford 28-15. Hereford defeated Randallstown 15-12. As stated earlier, Jopletown defeated Bel Air 20-14. Northeast from down in Calvert lost to Bohemia Manor 42-6. Then your 2A1A East, sorry about that. Easton defeated North Carolina 49-7. Hammond lost to Howard 41-0. Lackey lost to North Point 49-12. Ken Island defeated Bennett 20-6. Queens Anne lost to Stephen Decatur 37-30. And Southern lost to the Seed School out in Baltimore 57-0. So that's your 2A1A games from the week, and we'll go to the standings. Like I said, almost done. 2A1A West, Williamsport is 4-0, Middletown 3-1. Then you got Randallstown, Century, Liberty, and Walkersville all 2-2. Owings Mills is 1-3, and South Curl is 0-4. 2A1A South, Dunbar is 3-0. Sparrows Point and Central is both 4-0 right now. Forest Park is 3-1. Chesapeake and Edmondson are both 1-3. And then Friendly is 0-4, and Surrattsville is 0-3. I think Surrattsville lost some of their momentum when they got rid of Coach Mark. They did win a playoff game last year, and you know, kids like playing for Mark, so it was unfortunate what happened down there. And yeah, that's my guy, so I'm gonna say that. 2A1A North standings. Elkton is 4-0. Hereford and Falston and Jopletown are all 3-1. Hartford Tech and Northeast tied at 1-3, and Rising Sun is 0-4. And you go 2A1A East, Calvert and Easton are 4-0. Ken Island and Queens Anne is both 2-2. Southern and Hammond are 1-3, and Lackey's 0-4. How did Hammond get put in that division? Way out there. Okay. Didn't know how they realigned that region. That was a little crazy. All right, then I'm just going to read the standings for the 1A because a lot of those scores I've already said. But Smithsburg, Fort Hill, and Mountain Ridge are all 2-2 right now. Clear Spring, Allegheny, Northern, and Southern are all 1-3. Those are Garrett County schools. Hancock is 0-4. 1A South, Havre de Grace is 3-1, and so is Green Street, Baltimore. Lake Clifton, Frederick Douglass, and Patterson's Mill are all 1-3. Reginald Lewis is 0-3, and Franklin is 0-4. 1A North, Pikesville is 3-1, and so is Boonesboro. Seed School and Lock Raven are both 2-2. Francis Scott Key, Brunswick, and Catacton, or however the hell you say that, is 1-3. Western from out of Baltimore is 0-4. Then the 1A East, Snow Hill is 3-1. Patuxent, Perryville, Colonial Richardson, and Bohemia Manor are all 2-2. Washington is 1-3. And then Cambridge, South Dorchester, and Kent County are both 0-4. So there's a lot to take in there, but that's your standings, your state standings right now as we hit the midpoint of the season. You said still a lot of football to be played. and a lot of things could change from now until then. But we're in the nitty gritty now. We're in the heart and soul of the season. Um, Across the board, things are going to get tough. Teams are getting better. Teams are starting to find their identity. Um, and we'll see what happens. We got a lot of good teams out there in the state of Maryland this year. I know we focus a lot on PG, but there's a lot of good football being played across the state. A couple of comments. Let's see. Coach Jaden, when we was talking about the playoff system, should just be top 4 from each region, then the next 4 best teams, regardless of region. Yeah, makes sense. Coach Mark said, got rid of a coach who was actually building the program the right way. Yeah, Coach Mark's a good guy, man. I'm glad he was able to catch on down there with Danny as a player, but he was changing that program around, and it's not too many people that could go down to Surrattsville and try to build a program, man. And he was actually doing it. So I feel bad that it happened that way, but he gonna be all right. Coach Mark gonna be all right. Coach Jaden, 1A being, let's see, who can stop Fort Hill? I don't know. It's tough. They definitely got a powerhouse up there. Fort Hill is always tough each year. There's not many schools up there, so they get a lot of kids, and they breed football players up there. So it's gonna be tough trying to stop that train. Yeah. Another comment we had. Can we talk about our guy A1 getting on ESPN top 10 plays Sunday morning? Yeah, I should have downloaded that video, man. But Spartan Nation, the 300. One of our guys that graduated a couple years ago, Amari R, who's now at West Virginia State. He made the ESPN top 10, play number 9 yesterday for this great one-handed grab that he had against Fairmont State in their victory. I think he finished with Marcus 4 catches, 189 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's been killing it the last couple of weeks, man, and I'm happy for my guy, man, because Amari should be on someone's D1 roster right now. And he had his opportunity. He had got offered by Delaware, but it wasn't Delaware State, but it wasn't a good situation for him, man. So he went back home to West Virginia State, who wanted him from the beginning and showed him love, and he's out there balling right now. So Amar, keep doing your thing, man. We all stand behind you, brother, and he's showing out, man. Showing out. Coach Jaden said, yeah, he's at All-American pace right now. Yeah, he's definitely playing ball right now. So that again, that's my state recap, mid-season recap, and going into the midpoint of the season, man. We got some good games on the slate this week. Again, like I said, my Spartans, we taking on Potomac Friday night, 7 p.m. at the 300. Make sure y'all come into the building, man. Come experience the light show. We although we got to get the performance better on the field, man. Like the culture around and the excitement around the school and the program right now is going in the right direction, man. And it started last year with the stadium, opening up the stadium, and the crowds have been coming out, man. We've been selling. I know. Let's see, the first game of the year last year when we opened up the first football game, we sold 1,000 tickets. Opening game this year against Parkdale, we sold over 900 tickets. So we've been packing the stands, man. And I just, y'all come on out and check us out. We're gonna clean up the on-field play, man. And we're sitting at 2-2 right now. So we're in a good spot, and we got 5 games left, man. These next couple of weeks, we got some tough opponents, man, but some very winnable games. So we're going out there, man, and we're gonna play ball. We're gonna play ball, and we're gonna bring home that first home Friday night playoff game in Law High School history, man. And when we get there, I'm telling you, we need a complete sellout that day. So Come on out, check us out this Friday night, 7 p.m. After that, our next two games are on the road. We have Duval and Bladensburg on back-to-back Saturdays. And then we close out the season. We got Roosevelt for homecoming, October 24th. And then we finish out at home, senior night, Halloween night against Bowie. So come on out to the 300 and experience what we got going on out there. One more comment before I get out of here. Last thing, what do you think of PGCPS making these high-level games Saturday? Well, the way things, the climate right now is kind of off right now due to the incidents that's been going on out there, the DC schools at the games, and then the incident that we had during the Wise and Flowers game 2 weeks ago. I don't think those games have anything to do with the incidents that are happening. I don't think they have anything to do with what time or when those games are played. Idiots are going to be idiots whenever. It don't matter what time it is. So moving the game to Saturday, I don't think that changes how a crowd is going to act. And that's my opinion. So I don't think the games need to be moved to Saturday. What they need to do is get more security. And you know what? If the kids don't want to do right, the kids don't come to the games. Simple as that. I mean, we got adults that don't do right at games either. But if the kids don't want to do right, don't let them in the games. Let the parents, let the adults come to the games. You're under 18. Sorry, you can't come in because you can't act right. Simple as that. Like I said, even though we've had some incidents where some adults have been involved, like the incident at Coolidge this past weekend, Friday night. A great game that was going on there, and it got stopped because of some mess on the field. But yeah, I don't agree with them moving games from Friday nights. So PGCPS, don't think about moving our Friday night games because our environment, we good over here at 300. Let us be. All right, man. So my guest tonight couldn't make it in, but that's all right. We're gonna get them lined up for next week. And that's it, man. I'm hungry now. I'm ready to go eat some dinner. One more comment said, if you're not attending the game, move along at that point. Yeah, if you're not coming to watch football, man, stay your asses at home. Simple as that, man. Don't mess up what the kids have been working hard all week for. We spend a lot of time practicing. These kids are at school for 3 or 4 hours after school, and then gotta go home and do homework, just so they could play on Friday night and get out there and put all their hard work into play. And we got idiots that want to ruin it, that ain't got nothing better else to do for themselves. So, stay your asses at home. We don't need you in the stand. All right. That goes for some parents too. Stay your asses at home too. If y'all don't want to come there and do the right thing. Simple as that. All right. Well, that's all we got tonight, man. My time is up. We'll be back next week, man. Make sure y'all tune into the Sideline Junkies Podcast Network all week. Tuesday Night Flight, we got that coming on tomorrow. In the passenger seat on Wednesday night, man. And, just keep checking in, man. We're doing big things on the Sideline Podcast Junkies Network. Again, I appreciate the boss for giving me my platform here, man. And we're just going to keep growing. It's going to keep getting better. And I appreciate y'all for joining me on this ride. See y'all later. Everybody be safe.